When
Yeah.
you started to trust the simple things that you needed to do in order to feel great every day, what were
Yeah.
some of those things that you finally leaned into and realized, wow, doing these things, it's simple, it's easy for me, and it makes me feel so good?
Yes. Simple things. Again, like that connection with self in the morning, even when you're about to brush your teeth or wake up in the morning, no different. We're all habitual beings and we all have our rituals. Like brushing our teeth is a ritual. So I decided to put in practices that would harness the cultivation of a good day or a positive mind, mind and thinking for the day. So I would start my day with speaking to myself in the morning in the mirror and having a beautiful conversation like I would with anybody. And my conversation might look like, you know, good rising, you are a beautiful conduit of the great divine. You are a beautiful vessel. You're going to treat your vessel with beauty and love because your essence is love. There's so many different ways to do this depending on what I'm working on as well. I'll cultivate a certain affirmation around that. The other thing that really started to transcend my thought process and break redundant cycles was listening to solfeggio frequencies first thing in the morning, right before bed, and also classical music, real genius classical music. There's something in there that the chords in the resonance in the music is very much attuned to the nature within us, just like with nature, which is the other thing I do. In the morning, I always go into nature, barefoot, hug a tree, touch a flower. It doesn't matter. Listen to birds, feel the wind on my face. The ether is informed, and we receive the ether, which is the skin, which is the air on our skin. And when we are connected with nature, we're connecting. That resonance is the same resonance that is our seed of life. So we're allowing that to electrify and magnify when we're in those resonant fields. And when we're in those resonant fields, we're no longer, we're resonating on a higher frequency. So the density of, the thoughts or the habits that have brought us into lower densities will start to reside and lift. Those are all very powerful, simple things. Starting your morning with electric food, such as a fresh glass of orange juice, lemon water, beautiful fruit bowl. That right there, and like that's electric. That's from the sun. That's from the source of life itself. So you're feeding yourself the source of life. And again, allowing the central nervous system, which I call the conductor, to become more expansive and electric in terms of our day and how we start our day. So again, these things are not impossible tasks and they're no different. All we have to do is just swap out some of the poor, habits that we have in the morning and throughout our days, and it becomes a choice. It's everything is a choice, and it becomes a choice. What are you willing to give up to be rewarded with your truth, to be rewarded with your power? You can't have it's contradictory to want to excursion inward and receive these divine powers that we're all innately born with, and to rise into faculties of higher states of consciousness when we're intoxicating our bodies, because you're this it's very important what we're thinking and what we're putting into our body, because what we do is we lower the vibration with toxic thoughts and food habits, and and everything that we are is energy. So you can't rise in consciousness and awareness if you're imploding your system and your temple with toxics. It will never work, and this is why a lot of people stay stuck. They can read a million books, they can go to yoga all day long, they can chant, they can do everything, but if you're not physically loving yourself with the act, not just the word, it's going to be a very challenging ascension process into a higher state of consciousness.
How do you wind your body and your mind down at the end of the day? How do you, I think most people are more comfortable with lighting up their body in the morning. That's easier for them to find routine. But how do you quiet the body and quiet the mind at the end of the day? Because it's so easy to stay turned on, with the lights in your home, with all the electronics. How do you wind yourself down?
Simple. I sometimes will have herbal tea. I refrain from electronics unless I'm writing because I'm a writer. But I actually write in a diary. But usually I'll write at night. I'll go into meditation. Again, I will always go into a quiet state and listen to solfeggio frequencies or music right before I'm going to bed to really kind of clear the canvas and just allow the canvas to be clean. And then before I go to bed, I'll make an intention for whatever is serving me or humanity in that moment. And, swap out the lights for candle lights, take a warm bath, go for a walk with nature, spend time with your family away from the electronics or your friends or your pet, whatever it might be, and connect to yourself and find your breath. At least 3 big breaths before, I go to bed with a really deep inhale and a loud sighing exhale will bring the central nervous system back into a calm.
Herbal tea, like an hour after dinner, is one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
It's such a great way to ground,
Yeah.
and you really feel like, you're giving yourself a really special medicine just for you.
Yeah.
And it's such a
Yeah.
beautiful routine to make it, pour it into a beautiful mug.
Yes,
It's
I
such a
agree.
lovely ritual. And so it's so
It
nice
is a
to hear.
ritual.
Yeah, it's so nice to hear
Yeah.
when another person does it. There's nothing that lights me up more than a really good tea shop.
I agree. I get so excited for this stuff too.
Yeah, and you used to live in LA, and I'm excited because this weekend I'm going to be up in LA, so I get to go to my favorite tea shop, which is Dragon Herbs, also known as Ron Tea Garden. So I'm going to go and pick up my supply while I'm there. You're in Europe. Where do you like to go to get your teas, or do you order them online?
Well, here we have a lot of natural farmers markets, and I live, in the countryside where they're growing herbs everywhere. My gardens actually grow herbs as well. So a lot of my stuff is from the local farmers and the community that I go to on the weekends and I buy, which are just heavenly. Because you're literally getting the whole flower, inside the tea. Yeah, it's a craft and it's an artistry as well. So it's very beautiful. And the one thing I love about Europe is they serve only what's in season. So and what's in season really defy. Sorry, it's an alignment with the natural laws of our own nature. So you're serving yourself per season the remedies literally growing from the earth to support that season that your mind and body are processing and your soul is processing through. So this is very special, and it's done here with so much love. Like everything is just so loving here, and it's beautiful because in the mountains, for an example, I actually just came across a woman who sun dries all of her flowers and herbs so it's still receiving the essence of the sun and nothing is packaged until the very last moment where you take it home in your glass container. It's just beautiful.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I so admire that. It's
Yeah.
something I've always just wanted to do,
Yeah.
to be able to have the space to
Yeah.
preserve food outside in the sun. Obviously, the
Yes.
way that we've really always done it.
Right. I agree.
So,